Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Now, imagine being 15 years old, all right? You're broke and there's no plan. And instead of dreaming about a Lamborghini, you're actually sleeping in the back of a $125 broken down Volkswagen bus. And you're telling yourself this is going to be my life one day. Now, fast forward, that same kid's traveling the country, living full time out of that bus, performing magic at festivals, running his own lifestyle. And somehow he turned that piece of junk into a fully functional home on wheels. Today's guest is Elijah Paulie, aka Uncle Funk. Now, he's rebuilt this bus multiple times. He survived getting T-boned and almost losing this bus completely, and still chose this life over comfort, stability, and everything else people told him that he should want. This isn't just a car story. This is about obsession. This is about identity. This is about what happens when you refuse to give up on a dream that makes zero sense to anybody but yourself. We're getting into it, how he rebuilt it, how he lives his life, how he makes money doing magic, and why, after 15 years, he still won't trade this life for anything. This is going to be one of the wildest lifestyle builds we've ever had on DubLife Diaries. So let's get into it. Elijah Paulie, a.k.a. Uncle Funk, welcome to DubLife Diaries.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Hey, bud, no problem, man. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on and jumping through the hoops that you have to, to go on the website and register as a guest and all that great stuff. Before we get going too much, let me give a shout out to my sponsors. Obviously, you guys know, first up on the list, Volksmania magazine, issue number 26. It's out. It's on shelves right now. I just got mine just a couple of days ago. I got a couple features in there. Go check it out, Volksmania.com. You guys can use DubLife 10, DUBLIFE, the number 10 at checkout. You get 10% off your subscription. Also, shout out to Salty Dub, from the beach to the bay. Salty Dub is tearing up the coastal VW scene down here, West Coast, Central Florida. We got an event coming up that's so cool that I can talk about this. How about this? Jeeps versus Volkswagens, all right? Two really cool communities. The Jeep community, they got their ducks. Volkswagen community, we got our ladybugs. Well, we're mashing up in the same parking lot, and we're having a car show for Battle of the Builds, and it's going to be so awesome. Memorial Day weekend, Quaker Steak and Lube right down here, but saltydub.com. Again, check us out. You can use that DubLife10 discount code for 10% off of merch, but it only works on merch. You can't get discounts on anything else. All right, last shout out, Vera Upholstery of St. Pete. Check these guys out. Premium quality interiors for your car or your boat. Check out VeraUpholstery.com. These guys don't play. All you got to do is go to their website, go to their Facebook page. You'll see some of the amazing work that they're doing. It's not just marine. It's not just cars. It's everything. These guys are custom. They're badass. Check them out. All right, my friend. Back to you. No more shout outs. All right.
No, you're all good. That sponsorships make the world go around. You always got to thank the people that help you get to where you are.
Yeah, brother. Exactly right, man. All right. So let's get into it, man. So for people who don't know you yet, tell me, who is Elijah Paulie?
I usually tell people I'm a man of many hats, many talents. I'm into a lot of wide variety of hobbies and collections and all kinds of different things. People would say I'm probably a dreamer and a lover, and I love people with a passion. That's kind of why I'm in the different businesses that I am, magic and ice cream man and videographer and stuff. And I'm just me. In the words of Wavy Gravy, be the best you can be. And I'm just thankful to still be here after all this time.
All right, well, let's talk about this then. Where did Uncle Funk come from? Because what a cool name that is.
I appreciate it. Well, for years, I always tried to get a cool name. You can't give it to yourself. You have to be given it, right?
Yeah.
And I went to a lot of music festivals from the age of 18 and till still now. But I my mom, my wonderful mother made me a lot of custom clothes. I was big into bell bottoms, velvet shirts. I was looking good. And some one day, some girl on the lot would say, "Hey, you're just that funky Uncle Funk everyone wishes they had." And from then on, I just kind of ran with it. I haven't let it go since. I was like, "That's me." So,
I like it, man. And it's cool. And you're right. You can't really name yourself and it be something that is original or that sticks. It's usually got to come
right.
from outside influence. So happy that you found that name. It definitely fits who you are. I was eager to hear how you came up with it, but cool story. So you said it a second ago. You're a magician, you're an ice cream guy, you're a videographer, you live full time in a Volkswagen bus. Dude, how do you explain your life to people when they ask you about it?
I guess again, kind of like I said, I'm just a man of many hats, many talents. If I get stuck on one thing, I just don't really like it. I like to have a wide variety of things, and then sometimes most of the stuff just comes to me. Either it just comes to me by the happens of grace, I guess. I didn't think I was going to be an ice cream man, let alone for this long. But I have such a sweet gig that I really just can't give it up right now.
So do you sell ice cream out of your bus?
No, I don't. I have way too much stuff in here to ever do it. I almost was thinking about going to a show and taking a small ice cream freezer with me to do it. It would be a dream of mine to maybe get a bus and do that in the future. But right now, no. I live in here full time, and then I have the ice cream truck that I lease from my company every year.
And guys, he's in the bus right now doing this podcast. He's on the road. He's living the life, the real life. That this is the guys that we look for, man, on the podcast. You guys are out there living this thing full time. What I want to hear though is what is the reaction that you normally get from people when they first hear your story and your life and how you're rocking it?
It's kind of a 50-50. There are a lot of people that are like, man, you were living the dream. One of my buddies basically says, you're basically retired. And, a lot of people are like, you are crazy. Why don't you get an apartment? Why, yeah, there's all kinds of facets to that answer, I guess. With really to my whole life, there's a lot of facets. Um, it's either a 50-50. They love it, they think it's amazing, or they think I'm absolutely crazy.
Right on. Probably a little both, and that's okay.
A little both, yeah.
So let's go back to a 15-year-old. All right. What made you actually want a VW bus instead of something that, well, most 15-year-old kids these days, they want Lambos and Ferraris and Bentleys and all this other flashy stuff. What made you want a bus instead?
I think I just really always loved, obviously, the style. The camper interior was always so cool to me. It's like home is where you park it. I always down the street from where I lived, there was a little hippie shop, and it was called That 70s Store. And they had Volkswagen buses that didn't run, but they were there for. They looked so cool, and they painted them up every few years. And I was like, that's for me. I was never really into the super flashy stuff. Sometimes people, especially when driving the bus, they'll rev their motor really hard and to do a burnout. I'm like, that doesn't impress me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be driving a Volkswagen bus.
Right. It's low and slow, baby. That's how we get
You
there.
just, you just gotta. It's not about getting. It's not about getting there. It's about enjoying the ride.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Now you found this bus in a newspaper. How long ago
Yeah.
was it? Tell me what that moment was like. Kind of describe for me how you found it and what happened with this bus.
So it was 15 years ago this year. I was 15 years old, and at the time I was getting trained for opera. I used to be a big singer, and I was getting
Oh,
voice lessons, and I was
wow.
waiting for class, and I had a newspaper. I used to always go through the classifieds to see what they had. I mean, almost every week I'd be like, Volkswagen bus, let's see what they got, and just so happened I'd found this one, and the guy, of course you don't. It's not like today, like where you can just look on what they looked like. It just says Volkswagen bus in Valonia, which was like maybe an hour from my house, and I have two buses. I want a grand apiece. So somehow, out of the grace of God, I talked my dad into going and looking at it, My parents, my dad, both of my parents, they've never been in a Volkswagen. They've never had a Volkswagen. So I still don't understand how they let me get one or get into it. They're probably worried the whole time too. But we went over to the guy's house, and he was about to move. And this bus in particular, Magic Bus, it was in the back of his yard in a subdivision. And I just fell in love with it instantly. It was such a POS. If I'm honest, it didn't have lights. It had several boxes full of parts. It didn't have any of the rear interior in it. It had the motor sitting in here in the cargo area. Didn't know what the motor was like. He always said he just wanted to have it to make it into a Scooby Doo or mystery machine,
Oh,
which
cool.
it's not. It's not a Volkswagen bus. So,
Yeah, right.
but
Uh,
that always made me laugh, and I just always had to have it. I hounded this guy for months. I really did,
yeah.
and
I want to hear. I
I
want to
went
hear
to.
about that. That was my next question. I was going to say, so you hounded this guy to get him to sell it to you, but tell me what that was like.
Oh, I mean, I really did hound this guy. We went and seen him one day. This one on the outside was a lot nicer than my second bus. I bought them together. Originally, I was like, "Oh, I'll take the interior of that bus, put it in this one," and he left the window open, so it absolutely destroyed the interior over
What
the
year?
months.
What
Maybe
year? What year is
both
Magic Bus?
69,
Okay,
69, yeah,
so early
and
Magic.
yeah, oh yeah, the good year, yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and
good years.
so I just kept calling this guy, and finally, I guess I don't remember how many times I called him, but finally I got him on the phone and was like, "Hey man, like I don't think my dad's really wanting me to get into this. He's not really wanting to help me pay for it, at a grand a piece. I can't do that." And I think maybe at first he might have said, "How about 500 a piece?" And then finally, like I said, I just kept calling him and hounding him. He's like, "Dude, $250, come and get it today only. Like, stop calling me." And so I immediately like ran to my dad. I was like, "We got to get the truck and trailer and go get them." And so that was that. I mean, we went over there, and it was kind of a pain in the butt to get them on the trailer. Every brakes are locked up or whatever,
Wow.
and but we got them here, and they sat in our upper yard for a long time.
Okay, the rest was history, huh? Now, in
It
your
was.
in your storyline, you talked about how you were laying in the back on a mattress and you were dreaming, about the future. What were those dreams like specifically? What were you dreaming about?
I just couldn't wait to camp in it. I think the first week I had it, I immediately set up a box fan in between the walkthrough, had an old camping mattress on the floor, and I was just kind of relishing in the moment that this is mine. It's something that would be mine forever, and somewhere that I could take to places. I could travel, I could camp, I could live, I could, just make it my own car. So many cars today just look like everyone else's. So I was like, this could be mine.
How old were you
I was 15 when I first bought it.
at
I got
15?
it for my 15th birthday.
Did you know at that age that you already, wanted a different life than most people?
I mean, I guess so. I'm definitely a lot more different than most people. Um, I for me, of course, there's sides of me that half of me wants a big giant house that I don't know what to do with, but the other half of me is that I love to be able to travel. I don't get to travel enough really, and but like to be able to just have all that I want and to live and to go from place to place is definitely a big thing. When I started going to music festivals at the time, I either had to tent camp, which sucks after a big rainy weekend. You got to pack all your wet stuff up and then go home. Or I camped in my 76 Chevy for a long time. And as nice as that was, it really wasn't what I wanted. So finally, when I got the bus all together and how I wanted it, I was like, I have this set up. I really do.
This is the life you thought, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. So talk about Zach. Tell us about Zach. Tell us what role Zach played in this journey of yours.
So Zach was he was in the end he was my only friend in town that had a Volkswagen bus. We played percussion together, and or he had a Volkswagen Beetle.
What was
In
his full what was
'66,
his full name?
Zach Showman.
Zach Showman. Hey, shit.
Yeah,
Sounds like Hollywood.
yeah, he is amazing. He's amazing. And so we would he had a Beetle, and this was before I finally got the bus fully running. You know, he did all of his work. He is such a creative and smart person that him and his father bought a rusty Beetle and fixed it up, and it was, I mean, a show winner for several years. And me and him would just cruise around in it, go to the flea markets, go into record stores, cruising in it. He actually took me to the Eureka Springs Volkswagen show my first year.
Oh,
We went to several other small Volkswagen get-togethers over the years when we were still young and still in high school, and that just kind of, I was like, oh, this is the place for me.
I actually had Jeff on that puts that show on not long ago. Fantastic guy, fantastic show. I actually added that show to my bucket list because I just heard about how the town shows up for that show. But my
Oh
question
yeah,
about this is tell me about what maybe how it felt to be involved in the VW culture, for the first time. Because hell of a show to show up at for your first big show. But tell me about like
yeah.
what was the culture like? What did it kind of show you or prove to you, back then about VW culture?
Well, it's just something like nothing else. I always kind of notice that if you break down in a Volkswagen, someone's bound to stop by and ask if you need help. You can't really get that in a Ford pickup or even my '76 Chevy. I used to break down often and no one would stop. But in a Volkswagen bus, someone, even if they can't help you necessarily, they'll stop and ask you and stuff. It was just really cool. I've been to some car shows growing up, but when I went to the Eureka Springs car show, it was like nothing else. It was just really amazing to see that many in one location. Now, 15 years later, they have three shows in
Right,
Eureka, so it's even more.
right,
But it was just awesome. You get to meet people, kind of like this podcast. You get to be like, "Oh, I love your bus. Tell me about it," and they'll tell you their whole life story.
right.
Or you'll be like, "How did you do this?" And what did you know? And that to me is just so amazing. My buddy, he was such an he would always fix record players, and he would pop up the hood of his Beetle and play a record at the car show. And just that was so cool to me. And people, set out like a whole scene at the car show. It's just so fun.
Yeah, yeah.
One of my favorite memories at being 15 at the Eureka Spring show. This was maybe a year later when I went with my parents. I got invited. I hung out with the people at the swap meet, which is a whole nother side of the show, and made really good friends with the people there. And they invited me to come camp with them. And I remember walking, or I guess before I walked down this big hill, we cooked food all together. We had a big communion, kind of just making food, being like, "Hey, Dave, you got some peppers? Hey, does anyone have an onion? Who wants?" And just made fajitas. And I was like, "This is cool." You got five buses in a circle making food to make sure everyone's getting fed.
Yeah.
And I walked down this hill and just saw like this beautiful scene of like five other split window buses in a row, and there were kids playing, and the the adults were hanging out and talking shop or talking food. And I was like, this is just magical to me. I was like, this is where I want to be, and I want to be friends with these people.
Right on, man. Let's touch on Travis. Travis was in your storyline was a mechanic who
Yeah.
you described him as somebody that didn't even like Volkswagens. So I know he helped you, but describe how Travis helped you.
So at the time, I was working at a little bar in town called Bears Den Pizza, and Travis would come in there pretty often, and I knew him to be a really, again, a smart, wonderful person. And he kind of let me know, well, when I was growing up, I worked at a little Volkswagen shop, and I've done it all. And so at the time, I probably, again, kind of like I did with the guy that sold me it, I just kept pestering him. I was like, man, I really want to get this thing done. At the time, Zach really just didn't have the time to help me. He was starting his family at that point, and just had so many other things going on. And so, Travis came into the next chapter and was like, yeah, man, let me come over this weekend and we'll see what you got. We'll see what you need to do. And, we got it done. I have a video of the first time that Magic Bus ever started up. Because again, the motor sat in the inside of in the floor of the bus for years. And then we moved it into my dad's shop, and it sat there for, again, a year or two. Travis came to look at it. He was like, man, this is kind of a clean motor. It must be rebuilt at some point. And, so we checked fluids and we stabbed it in and got it going. From then, immediately went to go and drive it. I was ready.
I
We had
bet.
to do a few things to get things going. I think, adjust the brakes, bleed the brakes, get the gas pedal working, because none of the pedals were even attached at the time. And, shoddy wiring, just different things, because it's never, it was probably 20 years before this thing was even resurrected.
Now let's talk about pedal, because you said that you had said in your story that you had a gas pedal that was screwed into wood. Just
So,
describe for us how that even worked.
well, the metal in the floorboards were not very good, as any bus. Usually, and at least in the front floor, you'll have some rust. So it was missing a little hinge pin and all that. So it wasn't actually working. So I think at the end, Travis was, he's an American mechanic, is probably the best way to put it. And, he was like, look, man, if you want to ride this thing, we're going to get it going. It's going to be ghetto rigged and put it together.
Yeah.
And so he just grabbed like a little piece of wood and screwed it down where hinges would work. And so, it worked. It wasn't great. It probably wasn't getting me full throttle, because at the time, I only had a 1600 in it, and it didn't go very fast. Just things would always happen to it, but it got it going, and that's really it. Everyone used to be like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I'm like, I just want to get it drivable. I want to bring it back to life, because if I wait till it's perfect, it would never be perfect. I don't have the money or the time to make it perfect, but it's mine. And that's what I was making it into.
Amen. Amen. So let's fast forward a little bit in your life, man. Let's talk about how magic entered your life.
So like I said, I went to a lot of music festivals. Um, I would volunteer for my ticket. I would check people in. I did trash cleanup. I moved up to security. I moved up, I've done it all. And I was friends with all the fire spinners, fire dancers, fire breathers, entertainers, if you will. And, I always wanted, I'd hang out with them so much. I really wanted to get into that and do that. But with this and my long hair, I'd go up and smoke faster than Cheech and Chong. So I figured, let me find something safe. And, again, working at that bar, some guy said, hey, I'm going to a magic shop. Do you want to go with me? It was in Little Rock, again, about an hour and a half away from my house. And I was like, yeah, that would be really cool. And so went to this magic shop. Come to find out, it's closing in like a few days. So I bought as much as I could afford, probably 4 tricks at the time. I was like, this would be cool. And from there, that was about the same time where I got Uncle Funk. And, I was like, man, at these music festivals, they have about 8 yoga workshops. There's so many things to do, but they also have a little more than they probably should yoga workshops. So I pitched the idea. I had at least a good case of magic tricks. And I said, would you guys let me do a magic show instead of a yoga workshop? And they said, sure, we'll try it out. And so it was just there wasn't very many people at the start. I there was 8 people. Next, this certain festival in my hometown had about 4 or 5 a year. Every 2 months they'd have a new festival. And so, I started out there, I'd have 8 people, 18 people at the next one, turned into 80 people where people couldn't even look inside the tent to even see what I was doing.
Dude, that's
It really just grew from nothing. And that's why I always say it's about the community that you build and the people that support you. It all it grew so big that they would, kind of hound the people at the festival that, hey, we should have him on main stage. We don't want him in this little workshop tent. We want to see the magic. We want to see Uncle Funk. And so that was, I mean, really the time that it blew up and changed my life.
dude, man, so cool. And thanks for sharing that. So, why do you think magic works so well in a festival environment? Because, 8 to 80 and then now main stage, right? I mean, obviously this works well. What do you think magic works so well for in this type of environment?
Well, I think to a certain point, I got a special niche. I mean, there's not many people that are doing magic at festivals. There's not many people that want to put on the show. There's not many hippie magicians, if you will, that fit that kind of. I mean, compared to me, I'm not trying to be big headed when I say that, but there's just not many people that I take it so I want to be so professional at this. I want to do such a good job, and I really try to create something so amazing for people. I think the biggest draw to it is that people can listen to music at their camp. People can indulge in whatever they want to indulge in at camp, and they can listen to the music. But if you want to see a magic show, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your campsite, and you have to go find it. You have to go see. Sometimes they always either put me at like an early spot. Like a few weeks ago, they had me at I almost want to say they had me at 10 o'clock, which I'm not bright eyed and bushy bearded before 11. So I was, and most people aren't either at music festivals. They've been partying all night,
Right.
and but people have just been an amazing supporters of the show. They get up and they come out and show support. My favorite quote of mine is that the day I forget the people who built my castle is the day my castle falls.
Oh,
I am just some regular, uh, for a lack of a better term, some Joe Schmo on stage. I'm really a nobody, but I am built up with the wonderful people that come to support me. Even after this is my 10 years of performing, I am so beyond thankful that they have helped me get this far, keep supporting the show. Even if maybe they've seen a certain trick that they've seen a time or two, I do usually put either a different twist on it, or I definitely always have to get new tricks to add into the show. Anyone can be a magician with $1 million worth of props and 20 years of practice. I'm only halfway there. So, it's just my funk family, as I call them. I don't like to call them fans. They're
oh,
my funk
cool, man.
family,
I like it.
and they are the real magic, as I say. I tell them all the time. They are the real magic. I wouldn't be here without them.
So let's talk about them for a second. What's like the wildest crowd reaction that you've really ever received?
I don't really necessarily know about the wildest one. I mean, there's definitely been like Uncle Funk pranks that kind of got me started into what I kind of started. In my tagline, I'm an international man of mystery and psychedelic prankster. And I used to mess with some people pretty hardcore. I used to change outfits every hour on the hour, and people are like, "Weren't you wearing something else?" I'm like, "No, I've been wearing this all day." Stuff like that. And um,
Yeah.
I think maybe just the wildest reaction to me that will never leave me is, people just showing up to that one show on main stage and really supporting that. Of course, I've done little things. Like another one was, I was driving the cart around the little festy cart, and my friends got in the back. I gave them a ride down, and they got out, and their bag of wine turned into a bag of water. And they're like, Uncle Funk, what? Like, how did you do this? And I'm like, I didn't even know anything about it. But that, obviously, they'll never forget that when Uncle Funk turned their bag of wine into a bag of water. I
Hey,
was like,
man,
you got to stay hydrated.
do it the other
Uh,
way, and we might call you the J Man.
yeah.
Water to wine. No, but so talk to me about the psychology behind magic because not a lot of people understand magic. Not a lot of people, are into it. You're obviously very into it, created a career out of it. But what is the psychology behind magic that people really don't understand that you can explain?
The best way I can explain it is, like even today, I posted a video that's gone viral now, and people are just trying to expose the trick. And it's not about how it's done, it's number one, entertainment. Like another buddy of mine, he always kind of explains it. He's like, do you like watching TV? And you're like, yeah, I like watching TV. Well, do you know how it works? And then they're like, usually sometimes they'll say, oh, yeah, I know how it works. Well, explain it to me. And but for me, I always just think that it's for fun. I've always said for the last 10 years, if my show can bring someone out of maybe depression or like a bad mindset and make them laugh and smile and live life, because especially this show right now that I curate a different kind of a theme every year, and this one is really about thinking about how life is beautiful, life is magical. We have so many good things in our life that sometimes we dwell on the negative when there's the positives usually outweigh the negatives. Even with owning a Volkswagen bus, there's got to be more positives than a negative. But yeah, the psychology is just, for me, like I said, I just want people to know that there is so much beauty out in the world. Magic is something phenomenal, amazing, and especially for me, I do comedy magic, so it's usually just to make you laugh and have a good time.
Oh man, that's awesome. Now, as far as as paying bills, so to speak, you went full time into magic in 2019. Did you have some type of a breakthrough, or was it something financial? Like what pushed you or pushed the desire for you to make that leap?
I mean, I've just, after doing it for so many years, this is, definitely, of course, I dealt with almost like any business, honestly. Most people that run a business, they don't really understand when they first start out, they don't understand, hey, you're not going to make a profit. You're not going to be, rolling in the dough for the first couple years. It's any good thing takes a while to get started.
Right on.
I'm by no means a rich man. Obviously, I'm living in a Volkswagen bus, but then again, I'm rich in life.
Hey,
I
it,
just wanted to try to see if, hey, I could make this work. Excuse me. I was like, I really want to push this as hard as I can. Of course, half me wishes I would have pushed it harder, because now in close to 10 days I'm turning 30, and I'm like, okay, now my youth is gone. What's going on here? um I
shit.
wish I would have
Give
pushed even
yourself a few
harder.
years. I'm 48, dude. I've been asking myself the same question. Where in the hell did the time go?
But I just, there was always times where I'm like, okay, I really don't make money at this, but I love it. I love the interactions with people. I love getting to see all my friends and my family at music festivals. I love to get, as any job, if you get paid to do what you love to do, it doesn't, or if you love what you do, it's not really like a job.
That's right. They say,
So
right?
I really do love it. It has been my passion, because in the end, people are my passion.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I like that. And I can relate to that. I've had a background and a career in sales and customer service my whole life, ever since I was a teen. And that's what I say all the time. People are my business.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Magic Bus. Break the setup down for me. Tell me what you got. You got AC, you got a shower. What do you have on this bus?
I mean, after living in it for 7 years, the only thing I don't have is a flushable toilet. It's I have I have Wi-Fi. I have a big screen TV. I have a quick pitch on suite, which is probably the best I could have ever bought. A little rollable, foldable shower on the outside. I got hot water, instant hot water heater. I got an air fryer. I got my AC that I'm so unbelievable thankful for. Um,
Right
you
on.
know, I almost have everything that I could ever need in here.
Okay. So when you look at a bus life, like I've talked to a lot of guys that live the bus life, right? What, in your opinion, what's something that a lot of people might romanticize about bus life that, in your opinion, is not real? Because you're out here really.
I mean, half me always people always romanticize it. They want to do it until they break down. If that's the biggest thing. Um, that's for years I would break down and break down. I blew the first motor that I had in here. Uh, I ran to town to get a pizza and I was driving back and I'm like, oh man, something smells burn up. I hope that's not my motor. And sure enough, it was. Locked it up tighter than anything. And, luckily a good buddy of mine, shout out to Jason Sellers, came out and towed me home and, I got it fixed, sat here for a while. Um, yeah, the romanticizes the breaking down that or maybe travel wise all the time. I do travel, but I don't get to travel all the time. Maybe half me I want to put more effort into, putting like an A to B plan of like where to go and to set a bunch of shows within that route. Again, maybe my greatest fear is breaking down and not having the thing to fix it or not having enough money. I am working on a sponsorship from AAA because if you have a bus and you don't have a lot of money, spend $120 for AAA premium because it pays itself off immediately.
I bet
Um,
one tow is
you,
all you need, and it's paid for
a-
the year.
Absolutely. And I have used almost all four toes every year. I think last year was probably the only year that I had to use it maybe once. And even then, I probably could have just fixed it myself. But once you get to a certain, I'm 6'3". I used to be about 240. I gained a lot of weight in the last year. So it's kind of hard for me to get under there and change some things. So shout out to my buddy JB. He has helped me more times than I could count. Owe that guy my life and $1 million
Wow.
for helping me fix Magic Bus time and time again. And that's that to me. It goes back to the community. Community. I wouldn't be here if it
Right.
wasn't for friends that probably gave me a lot of pity and said, "Hey, we'll help you out. You're just a young, dumb, broke kid, and we'll help you out." So.
Right on. Well, let's go to the opposite end of that spectrum then. What is something that people actually underestimate now about how amazing bus life can be?
Well, it's again, once you're flying down the road and you're on your way to your next location, it's such a beautiful thing. Like to be able to roll down the window. For me, I'm always doing this down the. My friends make fun of me, but I'll put my hand out in the air and just feel the breeze, and I'm like, again, I just go back to that time when I was 15, just laying in here, being like, I am driving this thing. We are living. We are, doing the damn thing, and it's such an amazing thing to be able to pull up and number one, for me, I have everything that I need. Sometimes people will be like, hey, do you have, a cooking utensil? Oh, yeah, I got it. Do you have a band aid? Yeah, I got it. You got, something wild? Oh, yeah, I got it. So that's always an amazing thing to have everything that you need when you need it. That or being able to like if you're on a long trip, you know, I always have trips that are 5 or more hours from home, and it's nice just to pull over and be able to take a nap in the back and wake up a few hours later and get back on the road.
Hell yeah. I've had that feeling myself. I just don't have a camper, but at times when I've been on road trips without my kids, without my family, that I've
Uh-huh.
had to, let's say go pick up a vehicle or something along those lines. I love because I'm getting older. I love naps, but I love when I can pull over. I can take that power nap or that cat nap. You give me an hour, brother, and I'll be ready to rock again for another 10 hours. You know,
Yeah.
I don't need much sleep. But no, I feel that. I feel that. Let's talk about this car accident. I know in this bus you got T-boned in 2019, right? Walk me through the accident, walk me through that moment, tell me what it was like. And yeah, man, just tell everybody what it was like.
I was I shouldn't have driven that night. I was heading to a friend's house just to hang out, and it was a rainy day. I just wanted to get out of the house or out of the bus, if you will, just do something. And so I drove to two towns over, rainy. It was nighttime. I go to make this turn, and at the time, I could have sworn, and I'm pretty sure I had a green light. So I took it and made the turn, and boom, and I'm in the front, and I'm like, what in the hell just happened? Did I just get hit? And you know, at the time I was maybe a little too spooked, but I didn't just stop. I knew that I was in the middle of an intersection, so I just pulled off. I kept going a little bit. I got out of the intersection, which some guy thought I was trying to drive off. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not driving to drive off in my bus. Some guy just hit me. I'm going to see it, but I'm not going to assess the situation and stop 200 other people trying to get out. So I get out and I look, and my whole slider door is just crunched in. And the guy that hit me was in a Dodge Neon. And so I had a range full of emotions. I was super sad, obviously. I was in disbelief. I was super angry. He's probably glad, or we're both glad I didn't go at him with the tire iron. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and at first, I figured I asked him, I said, did you call the cops? And he just said, yeah, yeah, yeah. Little did I know to come to find out he didn't speak a lick of English. So I kind of sat there waiting. I thought he called the cops. So I finally called the cops and was like, hey, this is what happened. I need a cop, here immediately. And so they come and they look at it out, and come to find out, in the end, he hit me in the most perfect spot. As weird as it is to say in any kind of wreck, but if he would have been, this far over to the left, it would have taken out my gas tank and my rear axle. If he would have been this far to the front, would have taken out the front axle. So he hit me right where, it was the best place to be. And I think I actually had my camper interior out at that time. So it didn't really crumple much, other than the door and about a foot of the floor. Um, but I'll never forget. I went to my friend's house that night and I tried to get in the door, and I, went to crank it open and pull it open, and it just fell off in my hands.
Oh,
And it's raining, and I live in here, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, this is horrible. Luckily, I have the walkthrough, but that's where my air conditioner goes. So I think at the time, maybe I was able to pull it out, maybe for that time being or something, and got in here between the seats, for a couple months. I don't remember exactly how long it was till I got it fixed, but it was definitely a couple months.
now this is where Zach comes back into the story again. Bring us up to speed on how this happened and what this meant to you.
So Zach, again, even when we were younger and I was still in high school and he was going to college, he went to school for body work.
Oh, oh,
He is such an attention to detail kind of person, and he is probably one of the best body men out there. And so he was working at a shop in the town that we lived in, and he knew how much this bus meant to me. He knew, uh, you know, just what it was for me. And I can't remember our exact conversation at the time, but I told him, "Hey, Zach, I broke down, or I got sideswiped, and this is what's wrong. My slider track, it was you couldn't even put a penny in it. It was just crunched to nothing."
Right.
And he said, "Man, just we have a frame rack here at the shop. If you just come over, bring the bus over after hours or on a Saturday, I'll see what I can do." And he's like, "I'm not sure what I can do, or we'll just see what I can do." So, and I got pictures of this too, where it had the floor all crumpled. He cut out some of my wood paneling flooring so he could, try to, and welded the little brakes on to the thing and put it on the frame rack, and it just pulled it out straight. And he might have worked on it for another hour and got the frame rack or the track all, nice and neat and straight again, at least. And I think at the time, yeah, I just had to get my secondary door from that double, or the my second bus. I stole the door off of it and put it on here, and it's been like that ever since then. Because I have a few of my friends that say they have another door for me, but for now I have this one that at least I can use it and get in and out, because I have to use that door. It's a pain in the butt to get all my magic show stuff in here without it.
So at this time when this bus was, I guess, being rebuilt, you had said in your storyline that a lot of people kept asking you to restore it. Did
Well, a lot of people at the time were saying get a Honda instead of your bus. They're
yeah.
like, you break down all the time. You're spending so much money. Why don't you just get a Honda? But no, it was honestly even before the wreck at the time. It was the original white color, and it had some rust spots. A lot. I have a few of my friends that won't drive the bus if it has rust. They want to get it all fixed up right. They want, and good for them. I'm proud of them. But at the time, I just wanted it rolling. I wanted it driving. I wanted it, you know, just good living. I didn't care what it looked like. But you pull up into a gas station, and the first thing someone would say is, "When are you going to restore this thing?" And I'm like,
Okay.
I drive this thing every day. It's restored to me." "Oh, well, you could use some paint or some rust fixes here." And I'm like, "Dude, it's not sitting in the field that I dragged it from, and it's 50 years old. I'm just glad that it's driving and we're alive."
Amen. So in your life, in the journey of having this bus, of living in it, of wrecking it, of rebuilding it, all the things that you've gone through, at what point, how old were you when this went from a project vehicle to basically your identity? Because that's really what it is now.
I guess about 20 or so. Like I said, when I finally started driving it every day. I mean, people, even in high school, people knew that I had it. I'd post about it on Facebook, and would have friends come over and check it out. And but I guess in the last 10 years, I've been going to Eureka Spring Show every year. I go to Port City. I'm wearing my Port City shirt today. I've been going there. I think this is their ninth year, and I've only missed one. I've been going to another show called BNNTA in Hannibal, Missouri for the last 5, 6 years. When I started going to Volkswagen shows real regularly, I got a long tongue, can't say it. But I just when going to a lot of shows and living in it. I mean, at the time, I kind of had to live out of it out of necessity. And I can't. I don't lie to people. I live here at the ice cream lot where I work and I live. At the time, I had something come up in life, and I needed a place to live. And shout out to Tyler and Lincoln, my bosses. I asked him, "Hey, do you mind if I park here for a few weeks to a month to see, what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go live?" And here we are 7 years later, and they still put up with me. So shout out to them and thank you for putting
Oh,
up with me. So I get to plug in for free. So I have all my amenities. I'm plugged in. I get free water, free electric, no rent. My only rent is checking the ice cream trucks at night, making sure they're plugged in, and helping unload the 1,200 dozen ice creams that come in every week. So
wow.
I haven't made, and that's kind of where sure I would half of me sure I would like to be roaming a little more, but then when you have it made so well, it's kind of hard to want to leave.
Yeah, understand. Understand for sure. Now, awesome thing happens for you. Fast forward maybe many years, but from what I saw in your timeline and from what I remember, you actually made the cover of Volksmania magazine. Talk to me about that feature. And there it is. There it is. Let's talk about that.
So when first people that got it, they're like, "I don't see you on there." They thought this was my bus. They're like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "No, I am." Sorry, I'm mirrored here, so it makes it even harder. My goodness.
Other side.
Yeah,
There,
there we go. There we go.
there you go. There you go.
So I'm right there in the eye.
Oh man.
So yeah, shout out to Denise Brown and Paul Cave. Outstanding people. I have bothered Paul a lot with a bunch of things, and Paul is just so nice and kind and caring. And I would love to meet him in person. Right back at Denise as well. I've been such a huge fan of her and her Volkswagen things, Bronson, for years. And also shout out to Jason Bogan. But Denise hit me up, I think in this November. This one came out 2023. So in 2022, she hit me up and said, "Hey, we're looking for some people to be featured in this magazine. Do you want to be featured?" And I said, that would be, the most epic thing in my life. I
Right.
would love to. And so, we have a 4-page feature showing the bus. This they have photos of my crowds right here, and then the photos of the bus. Shout out to CMAC Photography for helping me take the photos of the bus. Um, and it kind of says kind of the stuff that I shared with you. It talks about me getting it for 125 bucks, and it talks about uh, just the wonderful life that I live, and it's all thanks to the people who have supported me over the year. Oop, this way, mirroring is a little confusing. There's the shower on the outside.
Yeah.
There's magic trunks.
Oh,
So
cool, man.
there's the inside of the bus. See if I can get so. Yeah, that was I was over the moon about that. I never thought that I'd be in a magazine, let alone to make a cover. For a few months, I had a lot of fun making TikTok videos about it and use it on the cover of a Rolling Stone. And so I had to buy my mom a few copies, and luckily, I bought out like 10 of the last copies from his Paul's Supplies, and was able to sell them at a few shows because not everyone in Arkansas had the ability to find them at Barnes and Noble and Books a Million. Um, there were very few people that got them that knew me inside my state, but then I've had people from all over make videos about getting them and stuff.
Now, in your opinion, what do you think? What is it about the VW community that maybe is different than other car cultures?
Well, it's kind of like what I said earlier, where if you break down in a Chevy, a Ford, anything else, you're probably not going to get much help. No one's going to stop for you. In a bus, you're going to get someone's, there was a time where I was broken down, head in the engine compartment, and some guy pulls up and he didn't have much to say, but he stopped. And he said, "You don't see these much anymore." I'm like, "Yeah, man." I was kind of covered in oil and upset. And he's like, and then he repeated, "You don't see these much anymore." I'm like, Yeah, man, you don't, because people don't want to work on them. People, the younger generation like me, they fantasize about having them, but they don't understand the work that goes into them. I definitely understand the work that goes into them, but for me, it takes me 2 hours to get something done versus my buddy JB, who's like a NASCAR pit crew when it comes to putting stuff together. So yeah, so I'm like, I'll pay you some money and take you out for dinner to,
Yeah.
repay you for your 20 minutes of time versus my 2 hours. And
Yeah.
there are my good friends that are also like, well, Elijah, that's not how you learn. I just worry about breaking stuff, and making it worse for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
you
feel
know,
that. Like I feel that like more than you could ever even realize.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
saying
It's not the.
that.
It's just like, man, you already spent a lot of money. I don't want to break it again, and I also want to get it on the road. And like I said earlier, time is the most valuable thing you have on this earth.
That's right.
So it's time or money. Um,
I relate to that.
but
I relate to that big
yeah,
time because I'm not, I'd say mechanical enough to be dangerous, but I feel like with these cars, I respect them so much. And I also like to drive the shit out of my cars because I like to drive them so much. I don't want them to break down. So I don't want like this
well,
half pitch effort to repair or to replace something when I've got friends that are right here in my community, dude, that are expert mechanics. They're like ASE certified and they got, $10,000 worth of tools and they got a lift and they got all this stuff. It's like, why would I not just want that dude to fix my car when he knows exactly
yeah,
what he's doing and he's skilled and trained when I'm going to go out there and probably half ass everything that I do? To me, it's not a thing about, well, you can't learn it. I value learning. I do. But at my age, bro, with my back, I got a bad back. I've had back surgery. Like all of these variables, man, when that all adds up, brother, I'd rather pay somebody else that's an expert. And I'd rather just get the
mm,
expert to handle it. So I know when I turn the key and I go to start it, it ain't gonna be something else that I gotta mess with, or so I feel that. I feel what you're saying. And again, I do I'll probably get some shit for that. I do value, learning. And I feel like you should, if you're going to drive a car 50 years old, you should probably learn, especially these air cooled cars. You should probably, know enough to be able to at least rescue yourself. But again, man, I live in a densely populated area. I got buddies that are absolute experts, builders, craftsmen, way better at me than fixing these things than I am. So why in the
mm.
hell would I even care enough myself when I've got all these experts right around me that will grab the helm with no problem. Anyway, that's just me. That's my
No,
opinion.
I
I
agree.
really
That's kind
enjoy it.
of, with any people who own a Volkswagen, you usually have more than one. So I
Yeah.
have 3 and 7/8 buses and a Volkswagen thing, and I've been hounding my buddy JB for a couple years now because I did a lot of work myself on it, and then it kind of stopped. And for me now, I want to just get all the brakes done on it. And for me, yeah, I can do it, but I want to get it done fast and I want it done right. And I
That's
don't
it.
want to have to ever mess with it again until something breaks over stress, you
Right.
know?
And then you're probably gonna pay somebody else to fix it because why not? That's kind of where I'm at my age. I got 5 kids, and dude, I just don't have the time to be out there
Right.
messing around. Not saying that I wouldn't want to if I had a little bit. Maybe when I retire one day, I'll get into really the mechanical aspect. But right now, man, I'm too busy, and I want
Yeah.
to enjoy it. I'm selfish, damn it. I want to enjoy it. I'm working on it all the damn time.
I totally feel that. I feel you with that for sure.
Why do you think? Living the lifestyle that you live, why do you think some people choose comfort when maybe other people like yourself might choose levels of freedom over comfort?
Well, to a certain point, I have a little bit of both because now with having an AC hot shower and all that, I definitely am living in comfort. But and it's funny you said freedom because before Magic Bus was named Magic Bus, this bus was named Freedom, and
Oh,
that for me was my ticket to freedom and to live how I wanted and to live, to not to really romanticize the '60s, but to, live that freedom that we're just driving on the big open road and headed to cool locations, and to not have, maybe let's just say not have a big car payment every month, or to, it's, you're just getting to live or drive something that is nothing. You won't have, like I said, Zach growing up was the only guy in my town that had a Volkswagen, and his was a Beetle. No one else had a bus. And, so it's just something like, there's nothing else you can get. Once you're behind the wheel of this big old wheel, big open window, your windows rolled down, hair or wind going through your hair, you're like, this is it.
I
This is
get it.
freedom for me.
I get it, brother. I do. And, not a lot of people outside of this community understand that feeling that you were just describing right there. Not a lot of people get it. You roll the window down, you're behind the wheel, you're chilling, you're probably going pretty slow. It's just a vibe. And it's a vibe unless you own one or have ridden in one. It's just not really a vibe that you can describe. A
Yeah,
lot of people say,
you can see videos, but you have to experience it.
yeah, and then you hear these folks, right? When they talk about the first time they ever rode in a classic Volkswagen, first time in their life, and sometimes they're they're medium adults, they're in their late 20s, early 30s, sometimes in their 40s, and they finally ride in one, and they usually say this something like this, "Man, that thing rides a lot better than I thought it would."
Uh-huh.
Right?
I
Yeah,
had my aunts and uncles and my dad say that.
yeah, it rides a lot better than you thought it would. Yeah. So tell me this, man. What does success actually look like to you at your age right now, living the lifestyle that you live? What does success look like?
For me, it's success is many things, but for me is when I'm long gone, when I'm dead, even if I stop doing magic, I would like to think success to me is people that love me and can't say a bad thing about me. They say Uncle Funky is just that groovy guy that really loves people with a passion. I know it's not selfless to say that I'm pretty selfless. I would give anyone anything to make their day better, usually to the detriment of my own. I just love people with a passion. I love to share the love and the light and the life that we've been given, and that to me is a great success. Sure, half of me, as I'm like, yeah, if I was, had a big old mansion and I had 20 Volkswagens, and that's success. But in the end, you can't take that with you. And for me, the day that I die, hopefully I'll have one heck of a party celebration, kind of like the movie A Big Fish. I have a lot of people that I've known through different variants of my life, because I can't be categorized as one thing in my life.
Do you do you
And
do you remember the name of that small town in the movie Big Fish?
I want to say Spectre, but that's
No,
the
that's
other
it.
little town.
No, that's it.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
called the town of Spectra. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know where that town's located in reality, like where they filmed that movie?
I not on top of my head, but I've watched that movie. It's definitely one of my
It's one of
top
my tops
movies.
too. Okay. That little town is located in this little ass town called Millbrook, Alabama. How do I know? Because I had a house there for almost 5 years. How do I know beyond that? Because I did a whole bunch of weddings out there in that
Oh
small
wow, that's
underneath
amazing.
the same tree. The props are still there. They're all beat up and beat to shit and stuff now, but the goats are there. It's like, dude, it's crazy. The lake, all that whole movie scene.
Now, were you barefoot? That's the real question.
Sometimes some of the guests at these weddings, and then they throw the shoes up on the
Yeah.
court. Man, it was a really cool town, but it's in Millbrook, and it's just this property, that this family owns, and they have a bunch of weddings and stuff out there, and it's really cool. But yeah, it's crazy to hear you talk about that town and talk about Big Fish, because normally I don't ever have that conversation. All right.
Well, it's kind of like my life. People wouldn't imagine or believe half the stories I tell them, anyways. And then, in the end of my life, people are going to show up and they're like, "How did you know him?" And they'll be like, "Well, he tried to tell you, and you didn't believe him."
I love it, dude. I love it. For your age, you sound like a nice, young, wise man. Describe the Volkswagen community for me in just one word.
Family. That's just, again, I've heard other friends say that on here, but it's true. You get to be one big family. You get to have communion with other, making food around the campfire, getting to cruise together on a big old cruise and camping and hanging out, staying up till the wee hours of the morning. Um, if you break down, someone has oh, I have an extra spark plug or
Yeah.
someone's got it. You don't get that with anything else. So it's one big happy family.
Okay, man. All right. I can vibe with it. Tell me this. Tell me where people can find you if they want to look you up, if they want to see. You mentioned you had a TikTok earlier. Tell me where people can find you.
So it should be Groovy Uncle Funk on everything. It should be all caps Uncle Funk on Facebook, Groovy Uncle Funk on TikTok, Groovy Uncle Funk Instagram. We used to have a really awesome website. We're hoping to get that back up and running again. That's groovyunclefunk.com. Um, yeah, that's the best way to find me. Groovy Uncle Funk on should be on everything. I need to get it patented here pretty soon, but I've been doing it for 10 years. So,
Cool, man. All right, dude. I got some rapid fire questions for you. All right. These are questions that demand a fast response. That's what they're designed for, at least. If a story comes of it, I'm certainly not going to stop you. That's what we're here for. We're here for all the stories. Did you see that meme I put out like maybe 3, 4 weeks ago? Uh, it's a old Beetle cartoon version of a Beetle, and he's holding a little gun, and he says, "Give me all your stories."
I think that's it.
Yeah, instead of give me all your money, like that's what the bumper sticker came from because obviously these cars take all our money. But I saw that one day. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna redo this sticker a little bit. I'm gonna say, give me all your stories. So yeah, cool, man.
I love that. That's
Rapid
awesome.
fire. You ready to get into them?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First question: favorite place that you've ever taken the bus?
Eureka Springs.
Worst breakdown story in just one sentence.
Calling AAA 2 times in a row in one day.
Oh, all right. One thing doesn't necessarily have to be a tool, just one thing that you always carry with you.
Oil.
Hey, nice. Coming from a guy that talked about calling AAA 2 times in the same day. Okay, okay. How about this one? Dream upgrade for the bus.
That is such a hard one. Disc brakes, I'd like at some point. That's about the only thing I haven't really upgraded.
One magic trick that you'll never get tired of.
The magic we create all together. That's my favorite magic trick.
Hey, that's cool, man. That's cool. Looking back on your life now, what advice would you give 15-year-old you?
In the end, be persistent, never give up, and believe in yourself.
If your bus could talk, what do you think your bus would say?
In the end, it would say live life and enjoy, but also pedal to the metal and drive like hell.
All right. So what's next for you? What's next for Uncle Funk? We chilling, we doing our thing. We're just gonna continue to do what you're doing. You got any plans on the horizon? What's next for you?
I've been in talks with a few more magazines. I'm hoping to be in another magazine or so.
Ice.
I have several shows. I mean, this year's marks 10 years of performing magic, and I have been pushing it harder than ever. I have more shows than I ever have. And, sometimes there would only be maybe 5 in a year. Now I've had 5 in a month, and every month has at least a couple gigs every week or so. Um, and Yeah, I'm just hoping to keep it going and, never know what I'm going to do. I'd like to do a big, like maybe Route 66 magic show tour.
Oh, cool.
I'd like to own my own theater at some point in the future, or at least be performing at one. So
Okay. Nice, man. I like it. I like what's next. I like the future. I like the dreaming. I like the inspiration. So speaking of inspiration, somebody listening to this podcast, or because now I do them on YouTube, right? So now I got these videos. If they watch this podcast on YouTube and they feel inspired by your story, they might want to live in a bus. They might want to become a magician. They might want to take a risk and live a life like you live. What advice do you give them?
It kind of goes back to the advice I gave myself. Don't give up, keep persistent, and believe in yourself. Again, there were so many times where I didn't think that this would happen or I could be here. And then, all the efforts that I put forward got me into Volksmania, even got me to here on this podcast. It just, if I gave up, like everyone told me, just to get a Honda, I wouldn't be, living in the bus. I wouldn't own it.
Right.
There's, I have a lot of friends. Sometimes they'll get a bus and sell it, which, again, good for them. But this has been a part of me. This bus has been here for me when I didn't have anyone else to lean on. I could have been either living in the streets or doing something else, but this has become my shelter and my home. Again, I didn't give up on it. I broke down so many times where it wouldn't be even worth it to be in there, but it was always my dream to be us both living. We both could have been down in the dirt, but we're living now.
And I'll end on this note. Love the hat. Your hat says,
Thank you.
"Make VWs cheap again."
my good old buddy Russell gave this to me, and I was like, "Oh, I got to wear this for the podcast."
When you first came on, I saw the hat and I thought, "Oh shit, here we go."
I figured I was waiting for someone.
Yeah. Oh,
I was kind of nervous about that,
yeah.
but I was like, "Oh, come on, it's just a fun,
Yeah,
for a guy that bought his bus for $125, that would never be able to find that deal again."
Right.
My second bus was $500. My Volkswagen thing was $1,000.
Oh man, you're living it. You're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah, so make VWs cheap again.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, we'll end on that note, brother. And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries. Or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.